Good morning, my friend. Power versus Force. I picked up this book again last night. I couldn't fall asleep, so I thought I just want to get stimulated more. Maybe it was a way of escapism, just escape from my mind, but there's not much that I need to escape, I guess. I'm willing to face my minds. Anyway, let me just read. Why should we read this book? Forward, or maybe introduction, or a preface. Okay. This is a story. Let me just read the story again. I guess I've read it many times. While the truth reported in this book was scientifically derived and objectively organized, like all truth, they were first experienced personally. Beginning at a very young age, a lifelong sequence of intense states of awareness first inspired and then gave direction to the process of subjective realization that has finally taken form in this book. When I was 3 years old, a sudden full consciousness of existence occurred. A subverbal but complete understanding of the meaning of I am, followed immediately by the frightening realization that I might not have come into existence at all. This was an instant awakening from oblivion into a conscious awareness of being itself. In that moment, the personal self was born, and the duality of is and is not entered my subjective awareness. Throughout childhood and early adolescence, the paradox of existence and the question of reality of the self remained a repeated concern. The personal self would sometimes begin slipping back into a greater impersonal self, and the initial fear of non-existence, the fundamental fear of nothingness, would recur. Awakening the presence, in 1939, the year my grandpa born, I was a paperboy in rural Wisconsin and had a 17-mile route. One dark winter's night, I was caught miles from home in a blizzard. The temperature was 20 degrees below zero, and my bicycle toppled over on an icy, snow-covered field. A fierce wind ripped out the newspapers that I carried in my handlebar basket, strewing them across the terrain. I broke into tears of frustration and exhaustion. My clothes were frozen stiff, and I was far from home. To get out of the wind, I broke through the icy crust of a high snowbank and dug out a place to burrow into. The shivering stopped and was replaced by a delicious warmth, and then a state of peace beyond all description. This was accompanied by a suffusion of light and the presence of infinite love, which had no beginning and no end, and which was indistinguishable from my own essence. I became oblivious of the physical body and surroundings as my awareness fused with this all-present illuminated state. The mind grew silent. All thought stopped. An infinite presence was all that was or could be, and it was beyond time or description. After what seemed like eons, I was drawn back to an awareness of someone shaking my knee. My father's anxious face subsequently appeared. There was great reluctance to return to the body and all that it entailed. But I loved my father dearly, and because of his anguish, I chose to do so. In a detached way, I sympathized with his fear of my death, but at the same time, the concept of death seemed absurd. This experience was never discussed with anyone. There was no context available with which to comprehend it. I had never heard of spiritual experiences, other than those reported in the lives of the saints. But after this experience, the accepted reality of the world began to seem only provisional. Traditional religious teaching lost significance, and paradoxically, I became an agnostic. Compared to the light of divinity that I had felt bathing all existence, the God of traditional religion shone dully indeed. I had lost religion, but discovered spirituality. Amazing. This made me feel like we all need to go through some really extreme condition, whether physical or psychological, to gain the full awareness and have the awakening experience. Yeah. You lose some, you gain some. Thank you for reading with me. I'm going to have breakfast with my family. See you later. Bye.